Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and is the New Republic of Star Wars overwhelmed, corrupt, or just stupid? Across Star Wars titles like Ahsoka, The Mandalorian, and the Book of Boba Fett, our wildly creative wolf boy Dave Filoni has taken on the ambitious mission of connecting the dots between the fall of the Empire in Return of the Jedi and the rise of the First Order in The Force Awakens. But what is the cost of connecting these dots? Do we need them to be this connected? Because at the end of the day, it's gonna be someone's fault, and whose fault is it gonna be? Ever since on The Mandalorian we heard the term Strandcast and saw Snoke clones floating in a tank, followed by Moff Gideon clones floating in a tank, it's been pretty clear that one of Lucasfilm's goals has been to dramatize on screen the transitional period between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy, which has already been documented pretty well in books like Chuck Wendig's Aftermath series and Claudia Gray's Bloodline. But by exploring the spirit of history on screen, the goal seems to be to show less literate Star Wars fans how exactly the promising peace fought for and secured by Luke Skywalker, Leia Organa, Han Solo, the full Rebel Alliance, led by brilliant leaders like Mon Mothma and Admiral Akbar, all of that fell apart so fast within a single generation to justify how and why the First Order so effectively caught everyone with their pants down by turning the planet of Ilum, where the Jedi would mine their crystals for lightsabers, into a planet-sized Death Star that could destroy multiple core worlds in a single blast. The more shows like Ahsoka and The Mandalorian try to do this, the more, so far, they have been recharacterizing heroes like Leia Organa, Mon Mothma, and Hera Syndulla to be, at best, naive and overwhelmed in their attempts to maintain peace and deal with the complexities of ruling a post-Empire galaxy, and at worst, kinda dumb. But either way, ineffective and incompetent in ways that these characters should not be, and have never been before. And also in a way that's fully contradictory to the nuanced takes of this political transition by Chuck Wendig in Aftermath and Claudia Gray in Bloodline. Is this just something that we should entrust to book writers and not screenwriters? Maybe, especially when there are multiple screenwriters who are writing for these characters. Like, think about it, this is tricky when we're facing a follow-up season of Andor, which needs us to see Mon Mothma as a cautious strategist and savvy tactician, and when we watch Andor Season 2, that is set in the same era as Rebels leading up to the events of A New Hope, knowing all of Mon Mothma's efforts are just gonna lead to a New Republic future 10 years from now, where everyone is this incompetent, what's the point? Like, why even fight the Empire at that point? An Empire with one Death Star is better than a First Order with Starkiller Base. I know, it sounds like I'm hating on Star Wars. I hate myself right now. But really my goal here is to just point out how challenging it is to try to fix eras of a non-sequentially produced narrative timeline while still furthering a compelling story with characters we love, and shows that are titled about characters that should really have nothing to do with the New Republic anyway. Like, overall, I very much enjoyed Dave Filoni's work in Star Wars. I'm super grateful for what he's bringing us. I just think we need to talk about whether trying to make what J.J. Abrams did in The Force Awakens make any sense is really worth all this effort. For me, it boils down to 3 issues. 1, the New Republic is just too forgiving of ex-Imperials. 2, the New Republic is too careless with Imperial hardware. And 3, Lucasfilm is too focused on making the New Republic look incompetent. So I just said too forgiving, too careless, and too focused. But those are based not on my standards, but on the standards these same creators already fought to make us care about. Let's take these one by one. 1, the New Republic is too forgiving of ex-Imperials. So you may remember earlier this year in Season 3, Episode 3 of The Mandalorian, we cut away from some awesome aerial combat with Mando and Bo-Katan to Coruscant to catch up with Dr. Pershing, a geneticist who formerly served Moff Gideon, to see how he is faring in the New Republic Amnesty program. Pershing gives a TED Talk at the Coruscant Opera House. You remember that? That's the same one Anakin and Palpatine convened with each other to chat about Darth Plagueis the Wise. And here, Pershing speaks about the merits of cloning research. The speech goes over so well that afterwards he's fawned over by New Republic high society.
You know, I was almost drafted. Imagine me serving.
Oh, darling, that was the Empire.
My apologies. Empire, Rebels, New Republic, I can't keep track.
My man, it was 10 years ago. Yes, this episode seems to cast Pershing as a kind of Wernher von Braun figure. Wernher von Braun being a German rocket engineer who, after World War II, was recruited by the United States under Operation Paperclip and helped NASA build rockets. An American story that so glossed over his Nazi roots that they even made a Jake Gyllenhaal 50s rocket movie about how Wernher von Braun was a hero. Whatever, if he inspired NASA to do cool things. But let's not forget, he aimed rockets at London. But either way, there is historical precedent of the winning side of history looking the other way to just to score score renowned scientists. History is complicated, okay? And I do kind of like that Star Wars is drawing from that. But the difference between Pershing and Wernher von Braun is Pershing wasn't just an ex-Imperial from like 10 years prior. This guy continued serving Imperial interests under Moff Gideon 10 years after the war is over. So this would be like if Wernher von Braun continued building rockets for the Nazis in Argentina in the 1950s, and then went on to Madison Square Garden and said he did nothing wrong, and NASA was like, oh, no worries, here's an apartment and a clerical job for you. Like, if Lucasfilm wants us to see the Empire as space Nazis, cool. They just really should read up on what the Israeli Mossad did to former Nazis in the 1960s. Those Nazis who weaseled out of Nuremberg were hunted down and made to pay. And then let's talk about the character of Elia Kane. Elia Kane is a fellow Amnesty Program recruit who had served Moff Gideon, but in this episode of The Mandalorian, she's revealed to be a kind of double agent who catches Pershing in a New Republic sting operation, and then we learn she actually plans to steal his cloning research and to fry his mind, as she still apparently serves Gideon in secret. A warlord who escaped New Republic trial and was able to rally an army and a shadow council. The New Republic sucks at doing their jobs, especially as we see 2 episodes after this in The Mandalorian, where Tim Meadows shows up as Colonel Tuttle and even defends the former servant of the actively at-large warlord and war criminal after Carson Teva begs him to just look into some rising instability on the Outer Rim.
I'm requesting authorization and backup for dealing with pirates on Navarro, sir.
Perhaps the leaders of Navarro need to understand why becoming a Republic signatory is valuable.
By letting them suffer. Sounds like a rather imperial way of thinking.
Captain, you're out of line.
I mean, look, we can point all kinds of things to incompetence. It's hard to do your job. And this ladies' man here might just be a bit overextended. It's not easy to govern a galaxy this big, but you know what's less excusable is the question of Imperial hardware. Because, second point, the New Republic is too careless with Imperial hardware. If you've started planning your new Halloween costume around your thinning hair, it might be time to try Keeps. Keeps is an online subscription service that makes it easy and more affordable for men to treat their male pattern baldness right from home. Keeps offers both of the FDA-approved hair loss treatment options, as well as a 2-in-1 gel that combines both treatments. The treatments offered by Keeps are 90% effective at treating hair loss and can increase hair growth by up to 35%. To get started, all you gotta do is complete an online consultation. That'll get you matched with a treatment plan tailored to address your hair loss concerns. Once you've done that, choose the plan that works for your schedule. Treatment plans are affordable, typically half the cost of traditional pharmacy prices, with 3, 6, and 12-month delivery options. It's super easy to adjust, pause, or cancel your plan if you need to. Keeps has helped nearly 1 million men keep their hair, which is probably why Keeps has over 4,500 5-star reviews. Hair loss stops with Keeps. For a special offer to get started, go to keeps.com/newrockstars or click the link in the description. That's keeps.com/newrockstars. Sure, Chapter 21 frames the Imperial Star Destroyers being dismantled as a matter of the transition just taking too long, but in Ahsoka, it just gets real silly. In episode 2, Hera was shocked to learn that former Imperials were overseeing the dismantling of Star Destroyers on Corellia, something that's both shocking and something she probably should have known.
Do the facility still employ any of her former staff?
You will still find ex-Imperials at every level of the New Republic government.
Don't you worry about their loyalty?
Not at all.
Yeah, of course, everyone who worked here immediately reveals himself to be former space Nazis the moment Hera and Ahsoka start looking into it. For the Empire! And then after this, when Hera asks Mon Mothma's Senate committee about this, Senator Hamato Ziono rolls his eyes, and Senator Rodrigo has the gall to say,
We have former Imperials working throughout every level of the New Republic government, and they have all taken an oath of loyalty.
Long live the Empire doesn't sound like the kind of loyalty we're looking for.
So the issue here is really twofold. A New Republic government overseen by badass political refugees like Mon Mothma would not accept loyalty oaths. Like, they wouldn't put Wernher von Braun in charge of dismantling actively weaponizable B-52s without supervision. And Hera Syndulla, I love you, but you're a general in this government. You shouldn't be this out of the loop. It's just Lucasfilm is pushing the incompetence so hard. And this is my third point, because weirdly, Lucasfilm is just too focused on making the New Republic incompetent, and the biggest problem there is that this incompetency subplot is one of many subplots in these shows that are just about too many things. For example, notice that these shows also cannot help but include cameos and shoutouts to every famous Star Wars name that they can include. In episode 7 of Ahsoka, Hera's tribunal is overseen by Chancellor Mon Mothma, but also on this panel, of course, is Admiral Akbar, and we learn Leia Organa is leader of the Defense Council. Until C-3PO arrives, Mon Mothma looks resigned to letting Senator Ziono push through Hera getting court-martialed.
Imperial remnant. Such a sensational term. There is no proof of any coordination between the scattered and dwindling number of Imperial forces.
I'll tell you what I see.
I see a general who abuses her authority for personal gain. I motion that General Syndulla be court-martialed for disobeying a direct order.
Why does Mothma need Leia to bail her out? Now sure, Leia is a war hero, everyone respects her, but everyone respects Mon Mothma too. She's a highly decorated hero who put everything on the line by fleeing the Senate and speaking out against the Gorman massacre. Filoni knows about that Gorman history. He wrote that storyline in Rebels. Dave Filoni wrote Mon Mothma shouting down a much larger holo projection of Saw Gerrera. So why now, when Mon Mothma has much less to lose, is she letting Xiono walk all over her? I mean, hey, maybe there's a good reason we don't know about, but there's no time to explore it because this is not a New Republic show. It's Ahsoka. It's a show about Ahsoka and Sabine and like a half a dozen other things. So why are we also spending so much time on this New Republic bullshit? Look, I'll say bringing Xiono in was a smart move because he was a prick in Resistance. He fits the bill perfectly. But just imagine if he was the only representative of the New Republic government on this series. An argument could be made that, hey, maybe the reason the New Republic fails is it just because Mon Mothma and Leia Organa have to rely too much on corrupt, arrogant politicians and they're just not able to oversee this many parts of their government. That's essentially Claudia Gray's assessment in Bloodline. It makes sense. Really, the move here is to just bring in a new character we are okay hating and blame them for the New Republic collapsing. Like Andor has done a really good job of this by bringing in new faces like Luthen Rael, Cyril Karn, Dedra Miro, Major Partagaz as complex humans whose quirks and strengths can be used to justify these rebel wins and losses without changing the way we judge any classic Star Wars figures. Mon Mothma, Leia Organa, and Hera Syndulla are smart. They are good leaders. They deserve to be written that way every time they show up in Star Wars. But right now, they're being written in this weird way just so that The Force Awakens better fits in with Return of the Jedi. Can we all just accept that with The Force Awakens, J.J. Abrams and Lucasfilm and Disney learned the wrong lessons from the prequel era and forced Episode 7 to be too much of a redux of A New Hope, and Starkiller Base is kind of nuts, but that's okay, and it doesn't have to make sense, and it's still a really fun movie anyway? Can we just make The Mandalorian a show about a cute kid, armored stunt actors kicking each other's asses, and helmet culture? Can Ahsoka just be a show about star maps and witchcraft and the scars of bad teachers? Okay. Rant over. I'm back to just appreciating craft. I know that's what you guys subscribe for. I'm sorry about this. I still think there's so much to love about the show, and I swear I am not going down the path of the Star Wars YouTube dark side. But comment down below. I want to hear from you. Am I missing something about these New Republic scenes on The Mandalorian and Ahsoka? Hit me up in the comments, and please subscribe to all 3 of our channels in the New Rockstars network, and I'll see you next time. Bye.